I guess we are 2 minutes in. Let's get started. Hello, welcome everyone. This is our next Canada user group event, and this is a special one because we have the Zendesk team, Zendesk product and product marketing team to talk about approvals. So super excited to take a deep dive into this new feature. And I believe Lauren, you are the one sharing the screen. Okay, wonderful. So Lauren is the one who will be sharing the screen. And I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Amar. I run the Canada user group and just trying to join the community with this awesome tool that we all work with professionally. I am a Zendesk admin. I have been working with Zendesk for about last 12 years, so it has been there a while. And I will now pass it on to the Zendesk team to introduce themselves and also walk us through the agenda of this event.
Sure, I can start. Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. I'm on our employee service product marketing team, so really focused on Zendesk as it is used in internal cases like IT and HR. Thrilled to be here with everyone today.
Hey everyone, I'm Valerie Tai. I'm also part of the product marketing team here at Zendesk and also Natalie's counterpart on the CX team, and we're really excited to be here today.
So, hello team, I'm Lu Rivera. I'm actually working alongside with both teams, with Amar and with Lauren in the product team. I'm community engagement specialist. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Hi everyone, thank you for attending. I'm Lauren. I am a principal product manager here at Zendesk, and I am leading the approvals roadmap. So can't wait to hear from you and obviously to share with you where we're at.
All right, so I think we can get started.
Yeah, let's kick it off. Lou, I know you're manning the slides right now, which works for me. The general agenda is we're going to walk through some of the approval workflow pain points that we've been hearing from customers about what it is that they're experiencing today, whether or not they use Zendesk or they use another system to manage their approval workflows. So we'll talk a little bit about both of those different types of pain points. We're going to go through the use cases, not only use cases that are being utilized today with the current state functionality, but also use cases that we know folks want to see in the future. I'm going to provide a little demo that just gives you a walkthrough of the current state and what it is that we offer today. Valerie's going to give us a little sneak peek into what's coming for the remainder of the quarter. And then, of course, we're going to spend some time on discussion and Q&A so that we can really hear from you and make sure that we're responding to the questions that you have. And so that's the agenda. I'm going to move on to that next slide. We'll go straight into those pain points. Yeah, so this is probably what brought us all here and together today, to be completely honest, is the pain that our approval workflows have. You know, what I've seen and what I've heard from customers is that they're spending a lot of time chasing their approvers. So that seems to be one of the most painful things today, is that folks can't get those approvers to respond in a timely fashion. On the flip side, those poor approvers are saying, hey, I don't have the information that I need. I didn't receive the notification that this needed to happen. I wasn't sure how much time I had to actually approve this request. I had other priorities. And so, you know, that kind of balancing act between the approvers and then those that are chasing the approvers to get that approval request decisioned upon. We also have some challenges that we're seeing around very fragmented workflows, right? The communication is happening in all these different channels. Having one place in which all of that information could be, presented, not only for the ticket assignee, but the approver, and also anyone who might be auditing that approval request process flow and making sure that everybody was nice and compliant when they were, working with any kind of policies or policy exceptions. In general, lack of insights, right? I think one of the things I have heard a lot is, gosh, I really need to know who it has a pending approval request, because I want to actually help my agents in chasing those approvers, or really kind of understand who is taking a little bit longer to approve, what categories of those approval requests might be. Maybe my workflow isn't quite right. So that was one of the things that folks really want insights into. We're also hearing that, and I kind of mentioned this previously, that there's a series of notifications or nudges that could go out in a more automated fashion to approvers. So I'm hearing things like 36, 24, 12, 1 hour, and then constantly reminding them day in and day out if they're late, that, hey, you've got an approval request that you need a decision on. And then, of course, setting up that multi-step, series of workflows, whether they be, parallel workflows that can happen at the same time, sequential workflows, anything that can kind of help automate the process so that it's not all manual on the agents themselves to carry on with making sure that decision takes place. So I'm sure there's more. Because this is a much bigger area than I could have ever imagined. But I think this is a good initial set of challenges, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you all, so we can figure out the right solutions. So next slide. All right, so here's what I'm seeing today. So there's a series of key approval use cases. And right now, because we don't in Zendesk right now allow for a lot of automation with the approval requests, we're doing a lot of ad hoc approval requests getting kind of created at that ticket level by the agent. Many of those items are exceptions to policies. So, what we're seeing is a refund exception on the CX side of the house, right? We typically, only refund things within a 30-day period. This person is upset. They need 40 days. I think we should make this exception and accept the refund. Price matching is a big thing on the CX side of the house. And then little things like password resets. Hey, can we reset your password for you? We've heard from you, customer. We want you to actually approve our ability to reset your passwords. I'm seeing a lot of that happening in our current state. Software access, kind of on the IT side of the house. Lots of new hire, again, like in our experience, exception cases and more automated experiences that folks have. They've got full-on new hire, new employee onboarding workflows that incorporate all kinds of complex approval requests and tasks. But in our current state, what I'm seeing again are a lot of those exceptions. Hey, we don't traditionally give this particular type of laptop to a new hire in this particular department, but for this person, they're going to be using Excel a lot. We think that they need massive data sets to be downloaded, and so they need a big laptop to do that. Other scenarios, of course, on the IT side of the house, hardware and swag is, again, kind of tied to that side, the IT team. HR, we've got all kinds of like leveling adjustments, job title changes. On the contractor side, or, for non-full-time employees, we're seeing a lot of like overtime requests. Which is interesting. Hey, can this person work overtime? Or hey, this person worked overtime. Can you approve our spend to pay them out? There's relocation and travel. And then the interesting one that we weren't expecting, but seems to be working for quite a few customers is around ticket quality assurance. So managers have really expressed this need to actually be able to review some of the content that a new agent might be sending out for a period of time, maybe the first 30 days. And so they're actually submitting approval requests to their managers to review their content before they send it out publicly to the customer. So yeah, that's kind of a combination of what's happening now versus what we think will continue to happen as we kind of expand the product and our automation capabilities. Demo time. All right, so let me just get my screen set up and I will share my screen. I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, here we go. Here we are.
Lauren, we cannot hear you if you're speaking.
Oh.
You're not muted here.
No, I can hear her. Like,
You can hear me?
Yeah,
yeah.
I can hear you as well.
Amar, can you hear me?
Maybe your microphone changed. Maybe that's.
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, you can hear. Oh, so
You can
it's
hear
just
me
me.
now?
Oh, interesting. Okay, sorry about that. Please
No
continue.
worries. All right. All right, so here we are. We're on a sample ticket. This particular ticket already has an approval request. But what I think I'm going to do is just make sure I'm logged in. Okay, I'm going to be an agent, and I am going to pull up one of these tickets. And in this particular situation, let's just pretend that this employee needs a new laptop sent out in an expedited way. And so I'm going to go into the approval panel, which is right here, this little stamp. And I'm going to create an approval request. And from here, I will look up, I added Betty White, just love her. Rest in peace, right? What you need approved, laptop shipped, expedited, current, lost in transit. Need a new laptop for Sophia Delgado. Laptop.
Lauren, we cannot see what you're typing.
You can't?
No, we can see this sample ticket verify background check.
Oh my goodness, are you seeing the wrong screen? Let's try. How about this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you seeing Betty? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so here we are. Laptop shipped expedited, current lost in transit. Need a new laptop for Sophia. Her laptop was lost. We will try to track it down, but would need your approval to send out a new one. Start date is, I don't know, 11/12/25. So when we send the approval request, the approver is Betty White. It goes into a decision pending status. And then from here, we have the ability to potentially withdraw the request should all of a sudden Betty's laptop, of course, be found. And so what I want to show you then is Betty's experience on the approver side. So if I sign out in this scenario, because it's an IT experience, this person might have an agent seat. And so we're going to show you what it looks like to be an agent approver. And then I'll also show you what it looks like to be, an end user approver. Oh, hold on. I did the wrong email address. Sorry about that. Got a lot of these test email addresses set up. This is odd. Sorry, just a second. All right, let me rerun this one. All right, I'm actually going to change it up and sign in as the end user because my demo instance is failing me, of course, at the perfect time. So now I'm going to be signed in as an end user. When you're an approver on the ticket side, or I'm sorry, a ticket assignee, you can actually add an end user as an approver. And the end user on the ES side tends to be an employee or a partner. And then on the CX side tends to be a customer. But here we're kind of playing around with the idea that this person is an HR partner, HR business partner potentially, or maybe even like an IT value-added reseller who ends up, sending out hardware. And so right now, I'm going to go in and see, rerun background check on Gabby. Interesting. So first background check didn't finish. I see it was sent by, I see that I am the approver, and then I have the ability to approve or deny the request. And so in this scenario, I'm going to potentially deny it. Can you check in on the initial request and ensure that it carries on versus starting over? So it's been denied in this scenario. And then this is the comment that kind of, articulates why this particular approval request was denied. I'm not going to show you. There is an email that folks receive. It's sent to my personal email address. So I don't want to show you how messy that thing is, but it's very simple. You basically get a link and it leads you into Help Center. So let me try again to log in as an agent approver. All right, here we go. Let me share my screen again. I'm in. It miraculously worked.
Always happens, right?
I always, what I'm sweating, right? It's like, oh goodness, of course, of all times.
No worries, Lauren. You're showing us, what sometimes might happen when we ourselves as users are using the actual product. So
right.
Keep at it.
Oh, thank you. All right. So what I think is quite beautiful about this is that a lot of your approvers are going to be getting a lot of approval requests on a daily basis. And so what we've done is not only do we send them an email notification stating, hey, by the way, you have an approval request that is pending your approval. But on top of it, we give them a space in Agent Home. And then as I showed you before, in Help Center, if you're an end user, to actually see all of your pending approval requests so that you can manage those. So here I am as an agent approver. I go to my approval requests. I see that I have this one pending. And then I can go over into that approval request and I can choose, just like I showed you in Help Center, the ability to approve or deny the request. In this situation, we are going to make a company phone exception for Fran. But first, maybe I have a question. Let's see. Need this right away. So maybe I'm, commenting. Now, when I comment and say, does Fran need this right away? It's going to actually go to the ticket assignee as a comment notification. And that ticket assignee would then, of course, be able to respond here directly to the approver. Let's pretend that Natalie has responded to me and then she has said, yes, she does. And then I say, okay, it's fine to ship out now. And so I am going to submit this approval request. And from there, that has been completed. Do a quick refresh. And you see that it maintains the comment thread, but it doesn't allow, once it's been approved or denied, it doesn't allow you to carry on with the comments. That's kind of closed and a part of that audit trail of what occurred to get this approval request approved or denied. So one of the things I had wanted to start with, and I'm just going to go into that really quickly, is how you actually turn this feature on. And so presently, you would actually be navigating into Admin Center. and you would go to Workspaces. And from Workspaces, you would press Approval Requests. And in this scenario, this instance obviously has it on because I just showed you how it works. But many of you, if you are on a CX plan, don't have this on by default. And so you're going to actually have to turn it on so that agents can access it at the ticket level. And once you've done that, you just press Save. And then from there, you would navigate to your tickets, and you would then see once a ticket is created. I'll just nab one, that you can navigate over to Approval Request to create an approval. Oop, it's making me reshare all these tabs. Sorry, I lost you guys, but can you see where I'm at now as I navigated back to support from Admin Center? Navigated to a ticket, and now I see this little stamp, the approval request stamp is showing up. All right, so that is the bulk of the experience. There's a lot of little teeny nuances. You can't close a ticket, or I'm sorry, solve a ticket, and then of course close the ticket if you have an approval request that's pending. So we do ensure that occurs. And just kind of prompt the customers to, or the, our agents to make sure that they solve out that approval request. They can always withdraw the approval request if need be. So that was the bulk of the demo. I don't want to take up too much more time blabbing about it, but I can always log back in and share my screen should it help answer any of the questions during the discussion. And then I'm going to read this safe harbor statement because we're going to be sharing a little sneak peek about what it is that's coming. And we don't want anyone who's not a current Zendesk customer to make any purchasing decisions based off of what it is that we're about to show you. But it is exciting stuff. So, full disclaimer. All right, Valerie, do you want to take it away?
Yes, I shall. Thank you so much for walking us through the demo. That was fantastic. I hope you all got the chance to see what approvals looks like in real time. And then so to keep up with the momentum, we got some exciting new releases coming up. First up is group approvals, first response. So what you can do with this feature is that you can boost approval efficiency and scalability by routing to a group where requests can be decided by the first available approver in the queue. And then what's next after that is approval permissions. This will be coming later in Q4. So what you can do with this release is that you can tailor your approval permissions to your department's needs by adding or removing the ability for end users to approve. So these are two really exciting updates coming to approvals in the next few months. And I think that wraps up the roadmap section to the next one.
All right. So that actually brings us to our discussion section. Of course, one of the benefits of these user group sessions, right, is the ability to learn from one another. So we have a couple of questions, but ultimately want to open the floor for folks to chat. So if you can go to our first question, Lou, we would love to hear, what are the approval processes that you are all working with and managing today, and how are you managing those? So yeah, Lou's going to turn on the discussion feature, so everyone can feel free to hop off mute and tell us a little bit about approvals for you. Is anyone using Zendesk approvals yet? We'd love to hear about that as well. All right, I see folks have mics now. Is anyone open to sharing?
Also, if you can share like that, you can actually open your microphone, will be amazing.
Natalie, I can share why we're not using approvals if you want to hear
absolutely.
that. So
all of that's valuable.
Yeah, we were part of the EAP, and I think it's a good start. But just like I put the question in the Q&A, there's still a lot of typing. So if you saw Lauren's example, she's having to retype everything and so forth. And sure, we could potentially copy paste from the ticket, but I'm just hoping for two things. One is on a side conversation, you can click the comments button and we can add one or more comments to the approval as context. And so, like in Lauren's example, if she could have just put that, clicked a button to put that first comment on and just said, do you approve this laptop or whatever it was, then we'd probably more be open to using it. But seems very manual at this point. And then the second piece, which is in the same vein, is I'd like to be able to do it through a trigger, meaning like we have a deposit refund process and it definitely needs to go for approval before we're going to grant the refund. And so that would be based off of a custom field, what they call query type. So every time a ticket comes in, we would want that to go to an approval to XYZ group, which it's great to see the group things are coming, but we'd want that to happen before finance gives the refund. So we're just waiting a little bit for a little more functionality before we use approvals.
Totally understandable. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing about your use cases, and definitely, folks, that is all really helpful feedback for us. Again, you saw a little sneak peek. I did see a question in the Q&A about our roadmap, and so as Lauren highlighted earlier, we know there are lots of pain points in approval processes generally, and we do have a rich roadmap, but this is a really good opportunity for you all to influence that and share your thoughts and ideas. So definitely hear you on, having to, a lot of typing is currently involved in the process. I saw Lauren nodding her head in case there's anything you want to hop in and add on that. And absolutely, we hear appetite for sort of triggers or automations when it comes to really common approval processes. Okay.
Yeah, I can't go super deep into the roadmap here on this call. We wanted to give the sneak peek in terms of rest of year. But if you want to go deeper into the roadmap, I would be more than happy to do that in a call with your customer success teammate. So if you are a Zendesk customer, when I say more than happy, I would love it. It would be so helpful and fun for me. So please reach out to that CS person, and then I can also share my email address, with y'all to make sure that you could reach out to me directly if need be.
Jamie, are you willing to share what you're using today instead? Like, are you using the side conversations feature, or are you using something else outside of Zendesk? Okay.
Yeah, we are using side conversations, and in our case, we have a macro. So I should have said that earlier. It'd be nice if a macro could start the approval. So we're using macros that create side conversation emails. But the downside is, for those people who are Zendesk users, that means now we're kind of pushing them out of Zendesk and into Outlook. And our goal would be just to have them responding in Zendesk. Believe it or not, one of my colleagues said, I wish we could just take Outlook away and kind of quote force the use of Zendesk. But we just feel like it's easier for the person asking for the approval to do a macro than to type all that stuff and keep the Guardian in Zendesk. So I'm sure if we were to do time studies, maybe we would change our mind, but it just is a lot of process. And we need to ensure we're following a very standard process. So Lauren might type it one way and Lou might type it a different way, and I might type it a third way. And so that we just lose that consistency, whereas a macro ensures the same thing. Now, certainly they could adjust what the macro says, but most of the time people don't. So
No,
so
that makes sense.
All through email. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I that makes a lot of sense, right? I think one of the benefits that we love to talk about when it comes to Zendesk is that ability to really centralize things and kind of minimize use of other systems. And so definitely moving this in a direction that helps you do that is something that we're excited about. Okay, cool. Anyone else open to sharing what what are some of the approval use cases that you have? How are you managing them? If not, we can move on to the second question, which Jamie actually started to get into, and so maybe that's a good opportunity. So we know, again, we've highlighted some pain points that we've heard, but would love to hear from all of you. What are some of the biggest challenges in your current approval processes? And again, in the spirit of learning from each other, is there anything? How are you currently addressing those? Or if you're having a challenge and you want to pose the question to the group to see if anyone has creative ideas.
So I want to share one of the challenges my organization has had with approvals is just no accountability on if it is there's a approval request waiting for someone, that agents really have to chase them to get that approval or get an answer on that request. And that can, depending upon agent to agent, different people behaves differently when they have to chase somebody. There is a lot of inconsistency between approvals because there is no tracking and no accountability. So that is something that we have definitely struggled with.
Yeah, Amara, thanks for bringing that up. I mean, I think we've got quite a few solutions on the horizon for that. One of which we did release recently, which is the approval comment threads, hoping that could be more of an initial manual nudge, given that it sends out a notification to the approver and the, if the approver is commenting to the ticket assignee, and then if the assignee is commenting, of course, going out to the approver in hopes to kind of moving things forward. We also are hoping that the approvers can utilize that as a way to ask the ticket assignee questions that they may need answered in order to actually approve or deny the request. So I'm hoping that it kind of, the reason why it was prioritized over other things was I'm hoping that it would move the needle in those two ways, albeit somewhat manually, but a nudge, and we could start to kind of analyze the frequency in which folks are nudging one another.
Yeah, thank you. I'm definitely looking forward to the additions that are coming soon. I think this will help the feature greatly.
Amar, I'm curious, is because the other thing I think, right, in terms of having the approvals feature is sort of views where it's visible, right, to someone higher up. Like, is there any kind of oversight in the approvals process where someone's kind of looking at this on more than just an individual level?
Where somebody would be looking at one approval request, like more than one person?
Yeah, like all the kind of open approval requests.
Right. Yeah. So that would be, I think, like, because for the very heavy volume teams where there are a lot of approval requests going back and forth, and I have seen a more of a trend of a lot more approval requests when somebody's sport is overseas. So they usually rely on outsource. So for outsourced team, there is usually a manager or team lead kind of person who is approving different type of approvals, and they can get really bogged down with the number of approvals that they have to get through. So I think that because with the one thing that I'm really excited about, that with approvals being an actual native feature of Zendesk, that we will be able to track those tickets which have outstanding approvals. And if I remember correctly, there is a tag that gets added to a ticket that says whether there's an outstanding request. So you can run reports on that tag. You can basically list that tag in a view. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Awesome. Yeah, Lauren, do you want to hop in on the reporting aspect? Because I know that when we're talking about accountability, right, reporting generally with Zendesk use is something that really helps teams enforce some of that or encourage that.
Yeah, I think we're looking at this in two ways. One is just the real-time monitoring, right? Where, if you're someone, who wants to help your agents get these approval requests decided upon, or you're actually a ticket assignee who needs to be chasing these approvers, we want to make sure that you have a really easy way at some point to monitor what's happening kind of in real time versus, reporting. There can be lag times. We wouldn't want you to be utilizing reporting to figure out who actually needs to get a kick in the butt. That should be almost meant for insights around this person maybe shouldn't actually be the primary approver of this thing. They're too busy with these other things. Is there somebody else who actually makes more sense to approve or deny these requests going forward? Is this getting stuck with this particular group of approvers for whatever reason? I need to like dig a little bit further into that. This person's actually responding very quickly. These requests seem to have like a pretty beautiful workflow affiliated with them. Everybody knows what it is that they need to do. Everybody is clear on what that policy entails. So just kind of, utilizing the reports to analyze your workflows and improve those workflows, not necessarily to like help you with that real-time monitoring. I feel like those are two distinct experiences that we're going to have to think on at Zendesk and make sure that we solve for, in a great way.
Awesome. Great, thank you. That's super helpful. It's on our minds, and definitely thinking about it. All right. Any other challenges that folks are running into, or? We can also talk about again, on the train of, if you want to skip ahead a couple of slides, Lou, to, this is a great opportunity to raise features or improvements that you'd love to see from us. This is, again, you have direct access to Lauren right now, and I know her ears are wide open, and we're very much looking for customer input and feedback as we build this feature. So is anyone interested in sharing some things that they'd love to see from approvals as we continue to develop it?
I have a question about the group approval. So will that create a ticket for the group and it'll just be in the normal queue, or is that going to be in a separate place than other tickets?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting feature, and it was much more complex to create than I thought it might be. So right now, the groups are utilizing agent groups, and so as you can probably assume, we will continue to expand upon that. But in the first iteration of group approver first response, it's not generating a ticket. It's generating an approval request that's affiliated or tied to a ticket. And so you would assign it to a group of individuals, and the first person, and they'd all receive an email. It would all show up in, Agent Home for them specifically, because these would be folks with a Zendesk seat. It could be a light agent, a contributor, a regular agent, and an admin, anybody with a seat. And not necessarily a paid seat as referenced. So from there, like I said, the first person to respond, whether it's approved or denied, is the decision on the actual approval request. We're also hearing that a lot of folks were really excited about this one because, they have the notion of a primary approver. So one person within that group typically knows that it's on me to respond. But if they're ever out of office, this is a nice, quick catch to, you can utilize comments on the agent side saying, hey, so-and-so is out of office. Would you mind, taking the lead here and making a decision on this approval request? So again, we're trying to kind of solve for some of those other scenarios that are coming, down the line. Initially not maybe in this perfect format, but in a way that will start to kind of move us in the right direction.
All right.
I think
Amar, I see.
Talking about Natalie's offer about Lauren's ears are open. So I think I want to mention like a wish list item on this. I think that this wish list item would actually cover a few more use cases that we haven't been able to cover so far with approvals with this current features. Is the parallel and baby approvals. Where it needs to get approved from two people and it can go to two people. So that means multiple approvals on one request. And I think anybody can approve it, but that for the ticket to move forward, it needs the approvals from both. So I think that would be a great workflow, because we do have an onboarding case where the approval needs to go to maybe the finance team to approve budget for an extra software, and then it also needs to go to an IT manager to send out the hardware. And a second wish list item would be again related to the multiple approvals on a ticket, would be when there can be a workflow where it can kick second approval after getting the first approval. So for example, if something needs to get approved from actually like a legal team, but some things needs to get approved from their legal team person, but also needs to be somebody with a designation lawyer that needs to approve to move forward. So like one needs to get approved first to go to the second level, and then completing both of them would need is the requirement for ticket to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are great, and I think I've been thinking about them using the following words to describe each of those things. The first one is just the simple trigger of an approval request. So that's kind of something that feels like I'm hearing from a lot of customers that, this is something that we need and we need it now. So, that's kind of that initial simple automated workflow. And then there's the concept of a simple sequence of approval requests. So going from one teammate to the next in a sequential step-by-step order. And then we have the concept of parallel approval requests. So more than one approval request, being able to, live on a ticket at a time. And, there's not necessarily an order to which these particular requests would need to be, decisioned upon. And then I have, this concept that, goes into it's just a complex approval workflow, which is like all of the above merged together.
Yeah.
Parallel, and then it goes to sequential once that, decisioning is made. And there's just all kinds of things happening in some of these more complex workflows. They intertwine tasks. We've come up with this tasks EAP. You can imagine kind of we're thinking upon, how these are partnering up to create these various experiences. And so we're definitely thinking about it. That's kind of how we're separating it out in our minds to kind of make sense of how we would build these things out. I am curious between the sequential workflows and the parallel workflows, if one were to come before the other, what is this forum? What would you prefer or need first?
That's hard to say, because I think we have use cases for both, and again, like we are slowly in my organization, we have adopted it for one single group, that is my team, but we are slowly rolling that out to additional teams. And I believe that in some of the workflows that I haven't been able to uncover yet, that there are approvals happening outside of Zendesk altogether. I see just small sprinkle of proof that there is some approval that happened behind the scene here before moving forward. But I would imagine that there would be workflows, as you mentioned, parallel, sequential. By the way, that's the word that I was looking for, sequential. Product people always know the right words. So and then there's a possible complex workflow of all of them together and a merge and everything. So I think that approvals overall is a very complex workflows for a lot of the organization, and I'm pretty sure that both of these features, parallel and sequential, would be of great help to kind of simplify those complex processes. It's hard for me to pick one or the other. But if anybody else want to pick it for me, so yeah, as Natalie said, we have Lauren's ears, so this is the time.
Yeah, please feel free to jump in if anyone has a burning desire for one of those two to come first. Let us know.
Yeah, even if you're not really know that what would be the solution, if you have a problem to share, I think Lauren will still really appreciate listening to that problem that you're facing, and maybe come up for a solution to be put it on the wish list for future approval releases.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I see, hi, Ben.
Yeah, I was gonna, yep. So actually,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Lou, if you want to go ahead to the left side, we can now open it up for Q&A. Again, please continue to raise features, improvements, but let's do some Q&A and see if we can get you guys some answers.
Yeah, so Ben asked, will there be a way to classify a request so that Zendesk will know this one needs just one approver, this one two, this one needs approval from group one and then group two? In the future, we definitely want to move forward with supporting these more complex workflows. So I do, Ben would be happy to chat with you with your CS lead. And I know we have each other's contact information, so I may just reach out directly to you and we can schedule some time to talk through this and when this, might live on the roadmap. It does kind of fall in line with some of the automation that we've talked a little bit about needing, right? So if you need to trigger a simple approval request, you would need to define who the approver is or the approvers. Obviously the description itself, potentially dynamic data that, falls within that, and then of course the subject. And so the answer to that one is, yeah, hopefully soon. I can't, it's on the backlog. But would love to chat with you further about that. In terms of the, the sequential, I mean, you'd have to define that too, just, similar to those workflow builders. I used to be a heavy user of Zapier, however we pronounce it. Great product. You're kind of defining a lot of that as a part of your workflow. I would think that what you've just described would need to be a part of that sequential workflow automation process builder.
And if there is anything that falls out of that with something to do with Zapier or any other solution, Ben, I would be happy to have a chat with you as well. If something that is not covered with approvals and you just we want to pick each other's brain on a problem, I would love to have some one-on-one time with you. All right. I also wanted to mention one other thing is that that since we turned it on approvals, it's kind of sitting it as a stamp on the side. So not many teams in my organization noticed it. I wanted to actually turn it on and see people would notice or not. So if you want to turn on approvals for your Zendesk instance, make sure that you communicate with your team properly about what things it can take over and how to test it out. It is very non-invasive feature because it just sits there and it doesn't really interfere with your ongoing workflow. So you can turn it on really easily, but then non-invasive is also not in your face. So there is some internal communication that I had to do to get visibility onto this. So if you face similar challenges in your instance, that would be the way to go, is internal communication.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the enablement conversations that I've been having. More often than not, folks are choosing literally just 1 to 2 approval request types to train their team on. Can you hear me? Yeah, and they're basically piloting the functionality with these 1 to 2 approval request types. Usually it's some kind of exception. It's also helping them templatize, because I think a lot of teams, have yet to even kind of do that level of analysis. What should this approval request say if it were to say it in a consistent way? And so, coming up with that initially has seemingly helped. I mean, we talk to all kinds of customers. I mean, even, internal Zendesk, right? Where we're trying to, service our internal teams a little bit. And what a pilot would look like for them. And more often than not, we're talking to system admins who may not be a part of the approval request process. And so they're going to each of these individual department heads and saying, hey, if we were to pilot something for you that's been, fairly painful for you to manage, maybe something that is more of like an exception because we don't have something already pre-built out. And then they've been finding those 1 to 2, and that's kind of where they kick things off. And I think it'll help set the stage for what could be coming next, which is more of that, how do we get this to a place where it can be more automated? Because you kind of got to go through that manual current state process analysis first anyway, which is, gosh, what I do in product development day in and day out. What does this look like currently? What are we doing? You mean we're going here, there, and everywhere? Oh my goodness. But you kind of go through that pain first and then crawl, walk, run, right? With this new approval request, at least you're bringing them together to the same place, and at least you're starting to actually create those templates. And so far, even though that advice just seems like, oh gosh, Lauren, seems like it might be a lot of work. It's seemingly working quite well for customers. They're saying, you know what, you're right. We haven't had the chance to really kind of think through this. We have these really grand aspirations, but we're also slammed day in and day out, so just finding the right time. But I would highly recommend it, because I think by the time we have more robust functionality, the question is, how much time will it take for you to be ready to utilize it? And I say that, being a process junkie myself, knowing, I've got all kinds of processes that I've got to automate and make easier. So add it to the list, right?
Yeah. Well, I had initial some friction talking to people about the workflow, because, as you mentioned, as Zendesk admins, I might not be part of those conversations or those workflows. But once the people I actually were able to demo and pilot with them, I have heard, all good things. And me personally, it gave me a lot of visibility with the organization to jump onto something, a more foolproof a feature, which is natively included in your price plan. So that was great.
Yep. Good. So Brandon, yeah. So in terms of Mindbend, we've got quite a few apps in our app marketplace that solve for approvals, and some of them also solve for tasks. They do a variety of things. They do it really well. And I think, for us, we want to continue to support those partners to kind of build on top of what it is that our offering will entail. And so one of the other, items here, just as a part of Zendesk and how we do business, is we do want to make sure that we're offering pretty robust public APIs. And so that is something that we will be making, readily available to our partners. They can be building on top of the native experience and creating a really, frictionless approach to what it is that they can offer and what they can offer on top, and kind of staying almost ahead of us for any kind of customization. So that's really our goal with our app marketplace and those partners. They really mean a lot to us.
All right. Anyone else? Again, we know there's a lot to approvals, so comments, questions, anything in our last couple of minutes. Otherwise, we can wrap up.
And we're definitely in our infancy. We do want to acknowledge that. We really want to crawl, walk, run, with our approach to development in general. And then also, trying to meet, some of our customers where they are today, right? We have many customers that love the control of that manual creation, right? That don't necessarily have a lot of interest in, moving into those really complex workflows that are good. And so we wanted to meet those needs initially, and then kind of just carry on slowly but surely. So, we appreciate you all coming today and, sharing with us what it is that you really want to see from us, and, continue to utilize the community, reach out to your CS lead, so that we can talk and we can drill into the roadmap, and I can hear more from you. And then on top of it, just know that there is a lot more to come. We're trying to be as in tune as we possibly can with our customers and what it is that they need. And we know that we're starting small.
All right.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're good to wrap up? Lou, anything else we're missing?
Nothing. I think that was very interesting. Like an amazing session.
All right.
Like,
Well, thanks everyone for their time. Myself and the Zendesk team would be open to questions after that as well. So feel free to reach out to our user group, and I can get answers to questions if you think of something. And once again, thank you for your time. See you next time.
Thanks so
thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.